Welcome to the Winged Wheel podcast. We have officially entered illness season. And if you're saying you guys are always sick, my barometer for that is when Brad gets sick.
Yep.
Yes.
Because Brad has the strength of constantly being battered by little child sickness, which he can fight off, and so it just builds up his immune system. He's calloused. But now Evan is sick. He's got the sniffles. Somehow in near freezing temperatures, there's allergens in the air for him to be sniffling at, and Brad is feverish. So this is Ryan Hanna, your most healthy host.
For the first time in podcast history.
For the first time in podcast history. Someone actually, a new listener actually mentioned we should be saying each other's names more, because for someone who's new, and apparently we all sound alike, which I resent a lot, because I never want to resemble you in any way, shape, or form, but here we are.
So should we give them the breakdown of how to determine who's who? So if it's a sarcastic insult, it's Evan. If it's talking for 5 minutes straight, it's me, Brad. If it's just utter frustration, it's Ryan. And
For the most part.
Yeah, and that's how you can figure out who's who on this podcast.
Yeah. If you're thinking, man, it's been 11 minutes, but the voice hasn't changed too much, it's probably not someone else, it's just Brad. And that means I'm taking advantage of that time to, do some taxes, call my mom, send some emails, work from home. There's actually been times where I have been so lost on what I'm doing on the computer because you've been talking for so long, I look up, I'm like, oh, yeah, we're on a podcast. I've been doing that less and less, but early days that definitely happened.
I don't think that'll be an issue today, because I'm pretty sure if I tried talking for 5 minutes straight today, I would literally stop breathing.
The beauty of it all.
Yeah.
Beauty of it all. So on this wonderful Sunday morning, we are going to be talking to you about kind of the same structure as last week. Just the Red Wings in general. Some stories to do with the Wings.
Shocking. It's almost like we're a Red Wings podcast, and we're going to start with that most weeks.
And then we're going to talk about the league in general. Shocking, because we're a hockey podcast. We are going to talk about all hockey.
With a bit of an emphasis on a specific division.
This... That was funny! That was so funny! Man, you've been taking lessons. And then one of our other main topics this week, we're going to have a little chat about suspensions. What the league has to say about it, what the NHLPA has to say about it, what Tom Wilson's elbows have to say about it, that whole thing. And then just whatever quick hits come up. We've had the privilege of a lot of great hockey, and I'm just...
We have? I've been watching the Red Wings a lot this year, so I don't know what great hockey you're talking about.
Oh, I've been watching a lot of games that haven't been the Red Wings in addition
I've been watching a lot of Edmonton.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
I always put Edmonton on, I always put Winnipeg on. I always try to put Toronto on, and then I get the blackout restriction, and I still am just like, whatever. I'm fine without you. I'll watch someone else. And then I go.
Underrated team to watch this year. Montreal. They're not skilled, but they play such an up-tempo game. It's never boring, and I can appreciate that.
Claude Julien does a great job.
This is what I would wish Detroit would do. It's like, yeah, who cares if we go up 97 shots a game if we're getting 102 attempts? Who cares? No, we're stuck with the conservative system. Yeah, I hope. Jeff Blashill has moved up to the according to the Vegas odds, the second most likely coach to be fired. Next.
Who's the most likely? Who could possibly be more likely than Jeff Blashill to be fired?
I forget who it was, but when I read it, I was like, yeah, no, that actually makes a lot of sense. Was it Carlisle? No. It should be if it wasn't, but...
I mean, Carlisle should have never been hired, but I digress. Let's jump into the Red Wings.
I think it might have been Bugner.
Really?
I mean, we all expected Florida to be good this year, and they're one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah...
But either way, bring on, apparently, Sheldon Keefe's getting some looks from NHL teams, because his contract's up at the end of this year.
Oh.
I'd be okay with that.
You
Card
think Dubas would
Gronberg's
let him?
getting some looks, hey, relevant.
You think Dubas, whatever, would let go of Sheldon Keefe?
He doesn't have a choice, because his contract's up at the end of this year. So Keefe could be like, Dubas could be like, we'd like to keep you, and Keefe could be like, that's great, I'm going to coach the Kings.
I'm going to do a thing here. I'm going to say a crazy thing that is definitely going to get me in trouble on Twitter.
Hold on, I'm going to tweet verbatim what you're about to say so I can get the...
Is there a world... I'm not saying I believe this, but is there a world where Babcock gets let go in favor of Dubas's guy, Sheldon Keefe?
Not this year, there ain't.
maybe not this year.
Like 3 years down the road, if Toronto ain't won anything, yeah.
You would think, is there a world
Keith
where that
ain't
happens?
sticking around that long.
Is there a world where that happens within 1 to 2 years?
No, God, no,
Okay.
no.
Okay, I'm just asking. I'm just asking.
Why are you so dumb?
Ryan.
I'm just saying.
Ryan, hold on, I got a tweet. Ryan thinks Babcock getting fired for Keith. One sec.
Kyle Dubas has shown the fact that he has a plan. He knows what he contextually within the realm of hockey in terms of numbers and stats. Although if you think that he's just a numbers guy and nothing else, you're wrong. The guy knows hockey. He has a plan that he's executing, and I'm just saying that I wouldn't be surprised. I would put no money down on this because I don't believe it to be the case. But I wouldn't be surprised if after a little bit more, the period of not winning the cup happens, if they're not successful in this window that they have, especially with the whole Nylander situation, and they have a limited amount of years if they have to sign him to a bridge, that Dubas gets his guy in.
There is literally precedence for an NHL team replacing Mike Babcock with an AHL coach with a sparkling record. And how'd that work out, Ryan?
But the precedent, you said the word precedent, and do you think one set of failing precedent would ever stop an NHL team when they exist to be... Well, not that Dubas is a reflection of the old boys club, but you know what I mean. I'm just saying, this is 90% me wanting to stir the pot on a Sunday morning.
We don't need to stir the Leafs pot right now. Austin Matthews is injured and already been ruled out for the next game.
What? What happened to him?
Yeah,
Shoulder injury.
Ooh.
it looks definitely like a collarbone.
Oh.
Yeah, so they're
Yeah,
having a
Aaron
rough go of it
Rodgers.
this morning. It's great.
Well, if he can be LTIR'd, they can sign Nylander
There you
and
go.
then just kick that can down the road for future Kyle to deal with.
Yeah.
Oh man, I make future Ryan deal with everything. That guy is a sucker. He gets treated like garbage. Past Ryan though, that guy's a dick. He never does anything for me. He screws me over so often. I'm saying Kyle should do the same thing with future Kyle. But keep an eye out for past Kyle.
Can we move on now?
You want to kick the can down the road? So to say.
Yeah, I want to get to future Brad's problems now.
I don't like ever imagining future Brad because present Brad is so present. You're just so present in my life that it's abhorrent to me to think about the fact that I'll have to deal with you in the future.
Man, present Brad's 31. Future Brad's just getting older and more tired.
You're 31 now? You went up another one this year? Dude,
Yeah.
I don't want old friends. Stop.
He's almost 30.
That's not true.
That's not
I-
true.
You're like 27, aren't you?
I'm 28.
Oh my god, you're like right there, man.
Did you turn 28 this year?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're Mel's age, if not a year. You're a year older than Mel.
He's all-
I call Mel old.
Do you actually hang out with anyone under the age of 25?
No, all my friends are older.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm not interested in...
You are every 10th grader's dream.
Wait,
All your friends are older than you.
Oh, I was going to say,
You're
that
hanging
could go in a lot of
You're hanging out
directions.
with all the grade 12s. You're the cool kid, man.
I had grade 12 friends when I was in grade 9, but not for a good reason. It's because I was in a play in high school, and the play was populated with all of like the grade 12s in the drama class, and I was in it. And yeah. Anyways.
Hold on, no, this is a rabbit hole. I want to go
anyways.
deeper down. So what play was it, Ryan?
I actually. Oh shoot, I forget.
No, you don't.
No, I forget the title of the play, but I was just It was actually a play about a drama teacher or a director making a play, but he thought he was like one of the legends, like Moliere or something, but he was really just a knob.
So you were in Tropic Thunder?
Essentially, much less cool Tropic Thunder. Much less cool Tropic
So
Thunder.
were you the Jack Black, the Robert Downey Jr., the Jay Baruchel, or the Ben Stiller?
I was one of the palm trees that got blown up.
Okay.
Yeah, that is literally equivalent to what my role was in that play. I was an extra that marched. But we went to provincials. This is getting more and more embarrassing as I'm saying it out loud.
There's provincials for plays.
Yeah, man, it's a
Man,
big
that
deal.
tree blew up so well.
That it's the Sears Drama Fest, although Sears doesn't sponsor it anymore because they went under.
Because they were sponsoring plays like your
Yeah,
Tropic
they should have.
Thunder.
No, they
I
went
know,
under
like
because
that.
of toxic business practices. I actually have learned a lot about Sears, and their role as a Canadian institution is disgusting to me. But we won't get into that. Let's get into the Detroit Red Wings. Please, I'm so sorry for doing this. Dennis Cholowski.
Okay, we're gonna start on the. Oh yeah, we're gonna start every episode with the optimistic.
Yeah, man.
So I'm just gonna read that tweet I sent out. Basically, Dennis Cholowski currently sits third in rookie points per game for any rookie that's played at least 5 games.
I thought it was fourth.
Third.
Okay.
Again, there are rookies who are ahead of him, but they've played like 1 game and have 1 secondary assist, so we're not counting them. Yeah, and that's not rookie defensemen. That's all rookies. And he's playing on a garbage team. He's playing the most minutes. He's playing power play, even strength, and penalty kill. And he has 6 points in 8 games.
Did you know?
Anybody who thinks that Dennis Cholowski isn't a strong candidate to be a Calder nominee at this point hasn't been watching.
Did you know that Dennis Cholowski leads rookies in ice time per game? All rookies.
That does not surprise me even a little bit.
Rookies. He second place is Miro Heiskanen, and he's ahead of him.
Wow.
Yeah. He's like
I would have not guessed that before this season.
right.
I would have penciled in Cholowski for that solid bottom pairing with Jonathan Eriksson for 12 minutes a night.
He's at about 22:11. So he's at 22:11. The closest to him is a full minute and 2 seconds less per game, which I mean, sample size of 10, 8 is like you're going to see that amount of variance. But if that holds over the course of the season, a minute and 2 seconds difference is a big difference from 1 to 2 in terms of ice time per game played.
It's a full extra game if you add it up over 82 games.
You can say, yeah, but he's a -5.
-5 on this current
On
iteration
this
of the Red
team.
Wings seems like an accomplishment. Like, isn't Anthony Mantha like a -12?
I want to actually see the Red Wings total.
I remember I was looking at it. The best plus-minus on the team was Christopher N. He was a +2, and
Yeah.
everybody else was in the negatives.
Christopher and Martin Frk, Luke Witkowski, Danny Kaiser. What do they have in common?
They're the only guys not in with a dash next to their name.
Yeah, they're the only guys even or better. Christopher N +2. Martin Frk, Luke Witkowski, Danny Kaiser, 0. Plus-minus of 0.
And Witkowski and Furk are, what, 1 and 2 games respectively?
Exactly. 3 games between the two of them. Everyone else on the team, I'm talking 21 other people are in the negatives.
Oh.
Dennis Cholowski is 17th of 25.
Yeah, but again, he's playing 22 minutes a night with...
Right. So plus-minus is also not a stat to put any load or weight on. It's useful in context, broad strokes, but here we can see that it's not quite so useful because it's, if you're a plus on this team, it means you're not even playing for this team. I don't know how else to say it. Dennis Cholowski, he's looked, I don't want to say better and better every game because he's just looked like the best player on that blue line every single game. We are seeing him make mistakes for sure. He's not been perfect. One thing I want to point out about his game is one of the veteran defensemen or the goalies has to pick him up and smack him and say, start protecting the damn net. Too many times rebounds go to the net and he moves off to the side, like as if he's waiting for the puck to corral out behind the net so he can control it. Meanwhile, he's leaving defenders open to take 10, 12 rebound shots a game or whack Jimmy's pads 3 times. If you are letting them whack Jimmy's pads 3 times, you're making a mistake. If you're letting them whack Jimmy's pads 3 times and then to make up for it, you don't punch them in the face, you're making a mistake. And Cholowski hasn't done that. He's young, and he's a rookie. And that stuff you learn over time, and he's not an exceptionally big guy, but that's just a demonstration of the fact that he hasn't been perfect. Ways he has been perfect. Not perfect, great. Offensive prowess, zone exits. Just, this is going to sound so silly, but just making the right decision. The bar is so low. The bar is so low. He's just made everyone around him look better. Cholowski Green is a fantastic pairing.
Yeah, it was... Now...
Fantastic. I'm doing
No, it was legitimately, like, I had to laugh when we got near the end of the Winnipeg game and I was just kind of paying attention to it. Every time the Red Wings had any zone pressure, it was Cholowski and Green on the ice, and whenever they weren't on the ice, the Wings were pinned in their own end almost the entire shift. And, I mean, I get it's the NHL, and you're going to have, like, defensive pairings at this game, they'll have more offensive zone time, but, again, like, a good Corsi 4 game is like 60%, and no Detroit Red Wings should ever be above 50% this year, so if you're even close to that, you're doing well, just on the shot share. But, yeah, it was them who were driving all the offense, and that Daly Eriksson pairing was a disaster.
I stopped tweeting it. I stopped tweeting about that because people were either trolling or actually getting mad at me. They're saying, like, Ericsson's been back for 10 minutes. You can't possibly be ripping on him. I'm like, I can and I will. But then I stopped because it was... But like, that's a... How do you put Daly and Eriksson out together?
And then they were the primary penalty killing unit as well.
So Daly last year, Trevor Daly last year, wasn't an exceptional player defensively, but he made a lot of good decisions in the neutral and offensive zone where he wouldn't tank a play just by being out there. And that made him like one of the best players or best defensemen on the team. And that, again, the bar is really low. This year, he seems to have lost a huge step in foot speed, which was bad because he wasn't working with a lot before. And that decision-making seems to have gone... Like, he's constantly out of position and just... He's always recovering a play that he messed up.
Yeah.
And you want to stick that out there with Jonathan Eriksson? And if you are saying Jonathan Eriksson has barely played this year, give him a chance, I say to you, if you're ever saying Jonathan Eriksson and give a chance in the same sentence, you have not been watching hockey for the past 14 years.
And I will also take the optimistic view. I will say Jonathan Eriksson is the most reliable defenseman on that pairing
Oh, for sure.
right now.
He's been fine. He's been fine. He's hardly the biggest crux of the team, but at this point, I'm desensitized to him.
Yeah, Jensen didn't have a strong week. Kronwall didn't have a strong week. It was
No.
that Winnipeg game started with so much promise. What did they shoot Winnipeg, like 15-8 or 15-6 in the first period, and then got outshot? They got outshot by almost 20 by the end of the game. Like,
I looked up and I saw the shot board, and it was 15-6, and I was like, what the hell?
that was the Red Wings' best period of the year,
That
and it wasn't close.
That was legitimately the best period of hockey I've seen them play.
Like they were up 1-0 after the period, but I mean they probably should have been up 2-3-0 the way that period went, and with some of the saves that Brossoit made. Because Winnipeg had like one good scoring chance in the first period, if that, and Detroit had a lot.
I'm telling you, I'm becoming so much more knowledgeable about teams' backup goaltenders.
Yeah. We know way too much.
Yeah.
I think that someone was saying Detroit has seen a backup goalie in 7 of their 10 games this year, 6 or 7.
In my near 25 years of being alive, I have never been exposed to this side of hockey, and I had never even thought about it, because why would you think about it when it's not reality? You always expect to play the starting goaltender, but when you're this bad, teams will literally, even if it's not a back-to-back, teams will literally rest their starter against you.
Who or what is a Laurent Brossoit? Fun fact, Laurent Brossoit is not French at all. He's from Western Canada.
That doesn't make any sense.
Ooh, that's ruffling some feathers.
Yeah, like I said, because they were talking about that on the broadcast, and I'm like, wait, you're telling me a dude named Laurent Brossoit is not from Quebec? And apparently he is not.
And he pronounces it Laurent Brossoit?
Exactly
Not
like
Laurent?
that. Nope, it's Laurent Brossoit.
Good for him.
I mean, good on. Like, I'm sure his family is from France or Quebec or wherever, but it's just you expect to hear the accent in the post-game interview, and it's a little jarring when you don't get it.
It's funny when that happens, and then you listen to like an Anthony Mantha, and then you're like, oh, that's right, yeah, you did grow up in Quebec.
Yeah.
Because you don't, with those names, you don't expect it.
No.
Dennis Cholowski, I'm right now with an 8-game sample size, and I have to tell you, I hate making any declarations this early in the season because the sample size is so disgustingly variable. Hockey Town Evan Sniffles over here, tell them about sample size this early.
You hate... Size does matter.
Size does, thank you, Evan.
Size matters.
Besides the Sniffles, Evan provides the hottest takes and the best quips on this show.
You know who the best backup goalie in the league is? Carey Price.
How many games has he played?
He is unreal.
Small aside, this isn't a Mike Milbury minute, but if you are one of those people who every time Carey Price lets a goal in, you go, oh, you get a $10 million contract, oh, way to go, Montreal. Just stop doing that, please. The guy is still the best goalie on the planet. He's a freak. He's playing behind a garbage, well, not this year, but a garbage team. Please just stop. Yeah, his contract might not be great, but just stop.
I would take a Carey Price.
100%.
Couple things with that statement that we need to correct there, Ryan. Garbage team, the 6-2-2 Montreal Canadiens.
I corrected it.
They were first in the
corrected it.
league at one point this week.
Yeah, I said not this year for whatever reason. Although,
Yep. And best goalie in the world, John Gibson would like a word with you.
outside of the context of this year, in a vacuum, you have a tournament where you assemble the best of the best. You would take John Gibson over Carey Price right now?
What's my sample size? Am I going on track record of 2 years, 3 years, 5 years?
Who they are.
Professional career.
Hey, their professional careers. The talent that you know that they have right now, you take John Gibson over Carey Price?
Yes. Because this season isn't
No.
a fluke.
No.
I agree with Evan.
This season isn't a fluke. If you look at Gibson's last 2 years, he put up unholy numbers there as well. But because 2 seasons ago he missed a good chunk of time because of injury, it didn't register in everybody's minds that he's. And if you go deeper into the advanced metrics, he takes another step up. He's been statistically the best goalie in the league for like 3 years now.
For sure, John Gibson's been amazing. I think he's probably. I used to say Mikko Rantanen was the most underrated player in the league. That playing on such a prominent line has ruined that statement for me. So thanks for taking away my take. John Gibson might be the most underrated player in the league, but Carey Price is the closest thing that the goalie position in the NHL has to a LeBron James in my mind of being like how he's a freak of nature. He's not always on, but you know my take on goalies that like I don't give up on them just because they had one bad year or 2 bad years.
But my argument with that is we haven't seen peak Carey Price in close to 3 years now.
Well,
This is it. This is it right now.
He's
is
been
playing
injured.
amazing.
And so it's just like if I'm assembling a team right now, I'm going with the guy who's strung together 3 great seasons in a row than the guy who I know is amazing, but we haven't seen any consistency out of him in a long time.
I think Carey Price's best is better than John Gibson's best right now.
I would agree with that statement.
And that's what
I
I'm
would
going
agree
on.
with that statement, but like I said, if I'm building a team right now, I have to take the last couple of years into account, and right now you can't say, again, if I put money on the table, do I think Carey Price is going to bounce back and be a great goalie? Yes, I absolutely do, but I also know, based on the last 3 years, that right now John Gibson is the best goalie in the world at the moment.
Where is Carey Price on this? He's putting up a 9.22, and John Gibson is putting up a 9.40. Holy!
And now let's get into our next topic because it's relevant to this statement.
He's putting up a 9.40 over 9 games.
We're gonna circle back to the Wings, but I want to get into our second topic now, which is the Pacific Division and more specifically the Anaheim Ducks. Because there was a stat that came up this week. I knew the Ducks were bad this year, and John Gibson was keeping them afloat. The Anaheim Ducks have a negative 14 shot differential right now. You think the Red Wings are getting pinned with shots?
Sorry, you need to clarify for the listeners. Negative 14 per game.
Per game.
That's messed up.
The last team in the NHL to have that bad of a per game shot differential was the expansion Washington Capitals back in the 70s, who statistically speaking, according to points in the standings, were the worst team in NHL history. It's not just that the Ducks are bad, it's that the Ducks are on pace to be historically bad. And they are clinging to a playoff spot right now because John Gibson has put up a 940 facing near 40 shots a game. People are saying if John Gibson keeps this up all year, he's the front runner for the Vezina. If John Gibson keeps this up all year, he's the MVP, and it's not close.
But he's the Hart Trophy winner, 100%.
He gets the Hart, he gets the Lindsay, he gets the Jennings, he gets the Vezina. He gets a private trip to his own Hawaiian island because the Ducks ownership will owe it to him.
Hawaii, there's only so many Hawaiian islands, man. You can't just take
And one of them is John Gibson's now.
That's an underrated joke, Ryan.
Brad, you're funny today. What's going on? Is this you? Is this a mask? Is this Crystal?
It's the fever.
You're. It's like when I feel delirious, I feel funnier too. I'm not actually funnier. I just feel funnier. And that's what's important.
Yeah,
Anaheim's 3 points out of a playoff spot.
Yeah, which is, again, by shot metrics, have been the worst team in the NHL. Worse than the Detroit Red Wings.
Who?
Exactly.
The Red Wings haven't won at home.
No, they haven't won in regulation.
Don't we have one win?
One win.
And that was in overtime.
I thought that was at home. Oh boy. Hey, Blake Griffin looks great though.
Yeah.
You know what? I owe him an apology because I thought that he was just like a big contract that was A, he was fragile, and B, he was just declining. But he or Dwayne Casey, who you know well, because former Raptors coach,
Yep.
said he went to go see him train over the summer, and this was his first summer where he wasn't rehabbing an injury. He hired a full team, like multiple teams of players to practice against him. He simulated real game scenarios, like he had nutritionists and statisticians at his practice. Like, it was nuts, and the guy's a freak. I want a Blake Griffin jersey. Anyways,
I want a Blake Griffin on the Red Wings. Doesn't have to be.
Basketball
hockey
jerseys
players.
are weird because they don't have sleeves.
yeah, but I don't like sleeve basketball jerseys either. I think they look dope.
No. That's what do you do?
Pistons to me have. I don't understand why they're not just going back to the fire horse. Anyways, back to the Red Wings.
Back to
Dennis Cholowski.
Okay, we talked enough about Cholowski. We have to talk about.
We've done.
Applicator said that he's having a bad year.
Oh, hey, that's great. I hadn't
I'm
noticed.
glad he noticed as well. So we'll get back to the Pacific Division later because there's a whole lot of storylines going on there. I threw this on Twitter and people took it as I was kind of overreacting, and I was over-exaggerating a little bit for humor's sake, but at the same point, I sent out a tweet. Red Wings had 7 rookies in the opening night lineup, and the game Friday against Winnipeg, they had 1. Is the youth movement dead? Has Blashill finally gotten his way?
I think this is the regression we expected.
But 1 though? 1?
It's what else was going to happen with the injuries, right?
No,
the injuries returning. Like, what else was going to happen?
No, I saw this coming a mile away. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm surprised that this happened. But this was a game where the Red Wings had a healthy Michael Rasmussen, Christopher N., and Joe Hicketts and Dennis Cholowski to work with. I know N got sent down, so even if we take him out of the equation, not counting guys they already sent to Grand Rapids, justified or not, they had a healthy Rasmussen, Hicketts, and Cholowski to work with, and only Cholowski got in the lineup. They pulled Hicketts out for Jonathan Eriksson and the corpse of Nicholas Cronwall. They pulled Michael Rasmussen to learn from the press box, as I throw up some air quotations, and I'm not even going to get into that again, but that's the dumbest shit I've heard the Red Wings organization say.
Oh, I think the premise of that was fine. It's just, what is he going to learn from the team that he's watching?
As long as he was watching Winnipeg closely, then fine. But yeah, it's a rebuilding year. The Red Wings are the worst team. And again, I can say this without any over-exaggeration. The Red Wings are the worst team in the NHL. By almost every metric outside of shots and points in the standings, which is the one that counts, they are the worst. They have nothing to lose, yet they're still parading out Justin Applicator, Darren Helm, Luke Glendening. Don't get me wrong, I like the guy, but Martin Ferk is, who cares at this point? Luke Witkowski's got into a game.
I mean, I got chided for saying that in the offseason, but...
Jonathan Eriksson is whatever. Nicholas Cronwall's barely hanging on. Nick Jensen has regressed over the last couple games. If these guys come out, you don't have to scratch Justin Applicator every game. You have... The benefit of being bad is you have a myriad of players who are worthy of being scratched. You can rotate them. You can put Rasmussen in 6 out of every 7
You have
games.
options.
You can scratch whoever... Would any Red Wings fan be that upset if we scratched Helm, Abdelkader, Ferk, or Eriksson or Cronwall at this point? No, we wouldn't care.
That lady at the Wings game would have been mad if we scratched Abdelkader.
Come on, Abdelkader.
Come on, Abdelkader.
But this time she's turned around backwards and looking up at the press box.
Yeah, legitimately. But then she'd never stop.
So, it's nonsensical to me because what is Michael Rasmussen struggling with right now? Speed, pace, and strength. And I would even say he's come around. He's starting to win some puck battles. He's establishing himself better in front of the net. So I'm not even going to say that's been too much of an issue anymore. It's just the speed and pace of the game. He's not going to learn that from the press box.
The thing about Jeff Blashill is that he knows. This is the most this is the hottest his seat has ever been. This is the most his job has ever been in danger. He's lucky to have not been fired in the offseason, because if the Red Wings switched general managers in the offseason, he was gone. If they made that decision, if they gave that decision to anyone outside of the Red Wings organization, they would come in and say, oh yeah, this guy's gone. So he really had to come out and thrive with these rookies. And he's not seeing the value, or he's actually not getting full value or developing the rookies properly, but I digress. He's not seeing the value in the rookies because they're losing a lot of games, and he's reverting back to his erroneous ways of trying to scrape out a win through these players like Abdelkader and Eriksson and players who aren't putting out, but really they're the ones who are letting the team down. Shulek for sure, I think, Shulek objectively should have been sent down. Like, he's not an NHL caliber player yet. But when you're scratching every rookie here, there, and everywhere, and putting Rasmussen in the box, and then saying that DeKeyser's been your best player, and, like, again, I'll add, he's been fine this year, and you're not recognizing the fact that Abdelkader has let the team down a lot. Cronwall just can't do what you're expecting him to do. Helm on the first line, like, all your advanced stats, he's a great puck possession guy, and his shots generated are great, but also, like, he's not going to finish as much. Like, he's scraping the bottom of the barrel, but there's nothing in the barrel to ever begin with.
Here's the thing, and let me, I understand. I am not naive. I know that if you pull Abdelkader out of the lineup for Rasmussen, if you pull Cronwall out of the lineup for Hicketts, I understand the Red Wings are still the worst team in the league, and that's not going to move the needle at all. But it might help next year. It'll help the year after that.
It's about next year.
It's about the future, and...
Why are we applying... Everyone's saying, well, Jeff Blashill has nothing to work with. But I thought this was an organization that now recognizes that. Why are we so concerned about, winning now? Like you said, if we have 2 or 3 more wins right now, the needle's not moved. We are still one of the worst teams in the league.
Actually, if we had 3 more wins, we'd be over half of the league. I think the leaders are all at 15. We'd be at... We'd be at 10? No, yeah. We'd be tied with Arizona. Yeah. We'd be in 22nd.
Yeah.
In a worse spot.
So if they literally turned almost half their losses into wins, they're still one of the worst teams in the league. So that should tell you everything.
You know what I should color this with? And I just realized that now. There's no situation here where we don't criticize Jeff Blashill, because we know, or in our very strong opinion, the best way to move forward with this team is without Jeff Blashill.
Yes.
So that is something that I should credit Jeff Blashill with, that realistically, subjectively speaking, the eyes of the fans and this podcast, all 3 hosts, I think, there's just no winning in our eyes. Doesn't matter how he started this year, because, really, I genuinely believe the best way to move forward with this team is without him. And that's not to say he's done a great job when we're not crediting him with it. No, we give him credit for everything he does right. It's just I genuinely believe
a lot.
I genuinely believe at this point he's doing long-term damage, or at best wasting months of players' development. Every single game is a waste of a player's development.
Well, we've talked about it before at length, so I won't get into detail. Just look at from when Jeff Blashill took over the team, how many young players we were expecting progression from and didn't get, or they regressed. Right now, I can sit here and dump on Anthony Mantha all I want this year, because he's been bad, and of course the person most responsible for that is Anthony Mantha. Mm-hmm. But a good coach gets a guy like Anthony Mantha going. And nothing Blashill has done has worked. Athanasiou looks great this year, which is nice. Larkin looks like Larkin. But again, Cholowski was a pleasant surprise. But Dennis Cholowski didn't play a single game with Jeff Blashill before this year, so he gets no credit for how good Cholowski is. No. Rasmussen isn't progressing in his, 8 games he's played now? I shouldn't say isn't progressing, but not in any significant way. And then, again, he's making poor personnel decisions. Again, I understand that shot metrics aren't everything, and I bring them up, but it's a good window into how the bright spots on a bad team.
Oh, it really is, yeah.
Because we can't go by goal differential, because everybody's... But the 2 best defensemen on the Red Wings team this year by shot metrics are Danny DeKeyser and Philip Hronek. And Hronek was one of the first defensemen sent down. He was a half a point per game player who was a positive in the shot metrics, which is insane to say on this team.
There's a thought on this team that I've seen said a few times, and it's actually a very sound thought, and it's that when a team is going to be this bad, you don't want to expose the rookies to that kind of beat down every single game. And it's the same thought that...
But the Griffins are also bad.
It's the same thought that made them not give Larkin the captaincy. And, that is a very sound way of thinking. But, and here's my but, if your team is all bad, there's no avoiding it, and you just kind of have to bite the bullet and put them out there.
Now,
it's my genuine thinking that there's no iteration of this Red Wings that will stave off that beatdown, and you just put them out there.
Now, to kind of put a bow tie on this conversation, which kind of you did lead me into my ultimate point here, which is nice. Outside of Cholowski and Rasmussen, I don't particularly care which rookies are in this lineup. I honestly don't. Whether it's Hicketts, Hronek, Sulak, Turgeon, and I don't care. What I do care about is that at least 3 or 4 of them are in the lineup every game. If you want to let Hickett's come up and give him November, and then send him down for December, bring Hronik up for December and give him December, fine. I'm good with that. I don't care which rookies are in here, but they have to learn.
I agree with you completely. I was going to say I want to see more of Hronik. I think he should be up, but as long as any 3 of them are up at any given time, fine. Whatever.
And as long as when they're up, they're not in the press box, because that does nothing for
Rasmussen doesn't count as up for me right now.
Yeah, because he can't. I don't think you'd send Rasmussen back to junior under any circumstance, because it's not going to help
They'll
him.
keep him through his 10 games.
So Rasmussen stays up because he has to. Every other guy can shuttle back and forth between Grand Rapids and Detroit, and please, by all means, shuttle them back and forth from Grand Rapids all year. I'm fine with that.
That being said, this is still 8 games in. The musings
10 games in.
Yeah, the musings you're hearing here about the Red Wings are subject to change. They're not much different contextually than what you've heard the past few episodes.
But the thing is, I'm not even going to use this. We can't use the sample size argument anymore. It's 10% of the season. It's more than 10% of the season. It's like 12% of the season we're through so far.
I mean, let's just kick it down the road for future Wingfield podcast hosts to deal with.
Yeah.
Prashanth Iyer tweeted something so innocent. It's hilarious because it got picked up by Wyshynski and then like a lot of like national news networks.
Yeah.
Which is that the Red Wings Arby's, the Arby's used to have a promotion where if any Red Wings scored a hat trick, you'd get free curly fries, which was obviously a lot more fruitful of a promotion on a team full of superstars. They've now changed it to match Detroit's level of output to if the team scores 3 goals overall in a game, you get curly fries.
God.
Which has only happened 4 times this season.
Yeah.
And they have only actually scored more than 3 goals once, and that was the overtime win where the 4th goal came in overtime.
It is hysterical and sad, and it's funny because it's blown up. Everyone's picked it up. Prashanth actually tweeted at Wyshynski, like, hey, Wish, what did you do, man? Because it was like CBS had it, Yahoo Sports had it. It was nuts. On that note, the Raptors currently have if they score 12 3-pointers, you get a free medium fry the next day.
From where?
McDonald's.
And now they owe us $50. Thank you, Ryan.
Yo. In the past 2 games, your Raptors have scored 11 3-pointers. It's some sick conspiracy because they don't want me to have my fries.
6-0, Ryan. 6-0.
Yeah.
Basketball of the 4 major sports is 4th on my list, and that's all I have to be happy about right now. It's so depressing.
I'm a Pistons fan, but every time I'm watching the Raps, I'm rooting for them because I want free fries. Moving on.
Let's get back to the Pacific Division now, because that is the most fascinating division in the NHL right now.
The Edmonton Oilers seem to be making all of the same mistakes as previous years in that their roster hasn't changed much, and they still are relying too much on McDavid. He played like 27 minutes the other night. Which, don't do that to the best player in the world. Why are you doing that right now?
Because why are they doing that? Because of that, they are 5-3-1.
Exactly, but that's not sustainable over the course of a season. If they scrape their way into the playoffs, they're going to get bounced in the second round again, at best.
And do you know what Oiler fans will say to that? Terrific.
Yeah, honestly, yes. McDavid is the kind of player that wants to be out there every shift. And McDavid is the kind of player where even when he's gassed and can only play at 60%, is still better than probably every player on the ice, as long as he's not playing like Crosby, you know?
Crosby had an absolute filthy goal.
Oh God, that game winner was.
I was going to say against Edmonton, the one against Calgary, or the one against Vancouver.
Topically, Edmonton.
Yeah. Oh God, that was disgusting.
But what was I going to say? It's Edmonton, though. I would argue is not the same team though, because they've got Yamamoto up with McDavid, and they've kept Nugent Hopkins with McDavid. They haven't broken that lineup, and again, in the argument of who's the best line in the NHL, they deserve consideration because they have a Connor McDavid, and the other lines don't.
That's true. The other lines have a decided lack of Connor McDavid.
Ryan Nugent Hopkins.
Actually, hold on, let me check. Yeah, none of them have a Connor McDavid.
And Ryan Nugent Hopkins is like a 1.5 per game player right now too. So
have you gotten more congested from the start of the episode to now?
I haven't had a chance to blow my nose. It's gonna get worse as we go.
You guys are a mess.
I'm feeling better, so everything is working in equilibrium.
Yeah, I like that. Wait, no.
But yeah, so And Edmonton, they've embraced the youth movement on defense. Darnell Nurse is getting big minutes. Evan Bouchard's playing regular minutes. They healthy scratched Jesse Puljujärvi because Todd McClellan is apparently Jeff Blashill West. But Cam Talbot's kind of back to his, not his peak, but he's improved from last season. So I don't necessarily think this is a fluke from Edmonton. I think having McDavid and Draisaitl separated has given them a bit of depth. I don't think their defense is as bad as it's been over previous seasons. And again, goaltending's been alright. But first and most importantly, Connor McDavid and John Gibson are the only two candidates for MVP right now. So...
Right. Nathan McKinnon.
Counterpoint, Mikko Rantanen.
That's who I was thinking.
Still. One of them will get up there.
Yeah, and I would also say Crosby, but again, by definition of this stupid
Isn't
award...
Malkin on a tear right now, too?
He's got the best points per
on a
game in the NHL this year. He's actually ahead of McDavid.
Yeah, he's always on
He's
a
like
tear.
this guy who like never gets talked about.
Not
Because
a top-
Sidney Crosby does something stupid in 1 week, and that's all people talk about and forget Malkin
He's
exists.
not a top 100
Yeah.
player of all time, man.
We
Yeah, man, Duncan Keith.
Duncan Keith.
One of the greatest.
Joe Thornton, also not a top 100 player of all time.
Yeah.
It's because he shaved a beard, that's fine.
And there was Dennis Cholowski, and that can never be forgiven.
Shut up.
Anyways.
Fucking Brad. You know Adam Lascaris listens to this, and he's going to have to tweet about that.
I know.
He pulled up an old... Did he go into your old
He
tweets
actually
too?
sent me a text message asking if it was alright if he liked them to save them. I'm like, yeah, man, go for it. It was a happier time then.
Oh, that's
It was
funny.
like from 2015 when we were talking about the positives of Babcock leaving and how good Blashill had been in Grand Rapids. And we're like, guys, it's fine. He's got a great track record.
He didn't
Oh,
even ask
boy.
me permission. He retweeted my old take of how Steven Stamkos would be stupid to not take Buffalo's offer, and I thought Tampa Bay was the least likely of the four major teams pursuing him.
Man, they could have Stamkos and another Nylander right now.
Thanks, Adam.
To be fair, your take was good because you knew Buffalo would be getting a Rasmus Dahlin. Hey, isn't Buffalo in a playoff spot right now?
I don't know. I'm assuming everyone besides Detroit's on.
Jack Eichel is playing crazy good again.
Yeah, no one. Yeah, Buffalo's in the second wildcard spot.
Ooh, go Sabres, go.
Yeah, Washington has a game in hand on them though, and they're only a point back. New Jersey has 3 games in hand, and they're 2 points back. So
Yeah.
they need Connor McDavid. I want to get back to Connor McDavid. He needs more help.
Yes.
They have to. I don't understand how an ownership group looks at having a player that some teams have never had in the history of their franchise. I'm talking like Connor McDavid is the only true generational talent since Sidney Crosby and Alex Ovechkin, and the fact that those 3 players are playing in the NHL at the same time at high levels is like an aberration. Like it is a statistical improbability, and you have that on your team at the age of 21. And you're letting Peter Chiarelli make the same mistakes constructing the team around him. It's a failure. It's a failure in ownership. It's a failure in management. This guy needs more help. He needs better players. Darnell Nurse cannot be your best defenseman. Can't. I'm sorry. He's great. Sure, fine, great, awesome. Cannot be your best defenseman. He needs support. Draisaitl can't be the only effective forward
I
outside.
wonder if they want a Mike Green.
You know what? They would actually. I could see them trading for him.
We're going to get
Next
Jesse
year.
Puljujärvi out of it.
Yeah. Healthy scratch. Yes, you pulled.
I will
Yeah.
take that in a heartbeat.
No. It's just not sustainable over 82 games. It doesn't matter how good your fitness is. And really, do you want to be burning a kid at 21 years old and just ruining... This isn't like you have a finite amount of energy. For sure you can recover. But, like, these are his best years. His next 5 years are his best... This is the best hockey you'll ever see out of someone who's projecting to be an all-time great. You really want to waste that with Peter Chiarelli calling the shots?
You know how in the playoffs it just takes a couple guys getting hot at the right time to make a run? Legitimately, the Oilers could win a Stanley Cup just on the backs of Connor McDavid and Cam Talbot.
Wait, picture this. Cam Talbot's hot. Connor McDavid's hot. Like, Connor McDavid's Connor
You
McDavid.
just need someone lukewarm.
Draisaitl and Nugent Hopkins are playing well, and then they have Fernando Pisani. Fernando Pisani comes up, and one effective defenseman comes up. That's a cup-winning team. That's a cup-winning team.
We joke about it, but if you even ignore the fact that Edmonton had the worst travel schedule in the NHL to start the season, they're still 5-3-1. That's a good damn team.
They also
Objectively speaking, I understand they're not actually a good damn team, but here's the thing. Connor McDavid is part of the team. Connor McDavid makes them a good team, so we can say the Edmonton Oilers are a good team and not mean it facetiously or not mean it sarcastically. They're
Hey.
good because they have...
It's the first time you've ever used facetiously. Nice. Look at that.
Wow,
Yeah.
what a day.
It's a fever. Anyways, but yeah, no, they're a good hockey team, and last year I think was more of an aberration than the year before. Because Cam Talbot...
Well, that's a hot take. Because I think last year's reflective of the team that they have.
I don't think the Oilers are as bad as they were last year, and I don't think they were as good as they were the year before, because they were
less hot. That's less fun.
They were close to going to the conference final if it wasn't for a absolutely blown goalie interference call in that one game against the Ducks, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would have put Edmonton up, 3-1 in that series?
Ryan, do you remember that? Because I don't.
I do, yeah. It was actually...
When Kessler pulled Talbot's pad and Anaheim tied it.
Oh,
with a
yeah.
minute
No,
left.
I do remember
I
that.
watched that and remember tweeting, that's definitely goalie interference, and then they called it no goalie interference.
So objectively speaking, was Edmonton good enough to go to the Stanley Cup Finals that year? No. But they're a playoff team in my mind, especially in that division. And it's nice to see that McDavid, though he doesn't have a proper roster around him, the pieces they do have are at least competent bums. They're not dragging the team down like they were last year. Lucic is being useful on the power play. Yamamoto's helping. Yamamoto and Nugent Hopkins are helping create space for McDavid, and when Nugent Hopkins hits the puck, he's not missing the net. Draisaitl's being a good second line center. Bouchard's been a good rookie. Darnell Nurse is being good. Objectively, Chris Russell's still a tire fire, but at least he's not literally shooting it into his own net this year. So
It's a big improvement.
yeah, because
Yeah,
it's a literal statement actually.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they're fine. I think they're going to get a divisional seed like they're sitting right now? No. Do I think they can get in the first or second walkout spot? Absolutely. And again, because look at the Pacific. We didn't think LA would be great this year, but we thought they'd be in the mix for a wild card spot. If Detroit beats Dallas in 5 hours, LA is last place in the NHL. Like, they're that bad. They're Detroit levels of bad.
Piss
How is
off.
that possible? They
Piss
have a
off,
Drew
LA.
Doughty and an Anze Kopitar.
Back off. You don't
Jonathan
need...
Quick is hurt, too.
Still, they have a negative 18 goal differential.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
Is that worse than Detroit's?
Two better.
I think... Does Alec Martinez still play for LA?
Yeah, but he's regressed a lot.
Yeah.
That's honestly so rude of LA, because this is Detroit's year to have the best chance at Jack Hughes. And if Detroit doesn't get Jack Hughes, I want them to have lost the lottery as the most likely team to get it, not be second last and then last place gets Jack Hughes. That's rude of LA. If you're living, we have a lot of Californian listeners. Go to the Staples Center and tell them that they're rude.
Which reminds me in Quick Hits, I did have some prospect-wise I wanted to cover, so remind me.
I'll forget.
I will. But you know what's going to happen? This is the first year LA is truly bad, and they'll win the draft lottery and then be good again next year.
That's rude.
And it's going to happen! Like,
Back off.
oh man. Yeah, the bottom three teams in the West right now, St. Louis, Vegas, and LA, just like we all predicted.
Oh God, I think that was my divisional seats.
Yeah,
Those are all divisional seats for me.
I had Vegas regressing, and I had them in a wild card spot.
Oh boy.
And I mean, they're 4-5-1. It's not like they're getting shelled or anything like that, but still.
They started off really slow, so that means they've been better the past week or so.
But again, the downside is right now, because even if you look at the Pacific Division right now, Vancouver's tied for first, like we all predicted. But they've
Henderson and Besser came back last night.
Yeah, but they've also played 2 more games in San Jose, whom they're tied with, and they've played 3 more games in Edmonton, who's right behind them. They're like Vancouver's 6-6-0. They're a 500 team and tied for the division lead. And yet the Coyotes are 5-5-0 and have the best goal differential in the division. Like it's laughable. Vancouver's got a -9 goal differential. If you want just sheer chaos and entertainment, this is the division to pay attention this year, because now
we said it would be the Chaos division.
Like, Vegas is second last in the West right now, but they're only 3 points out of first in that division.
Can we talk about the Ranton and McKinnon Landeskog line?
Again,
Thank you, fantasy.
Best line in hockey right now.
Yep.
I would put them ahead of
Yep.
the Marchand Pasternak.
Yeah,
line.
right now, yeah. I agree. Well, McKinnon and Rantanen are 1-2 in league scoring, so...
McKinnon is, if last year wasn't a fluke and he continues his pace this year, McKinnon has the best contract in hockey, bar none.
Is that even a debate anymore?
There's some other guys who are up there. Don't ask me to name who they are, but I know we've talked about them.
Pasternak and Scheifele.
Scheifele has a fantastic contract.
And Nathan McKinnon is a better player than both of them.
Yeah. Well, Nathan McKinnon Nathan McKinnon, I'm so glad this is happening because I want to use him as an example of this is what you have to reasonably expect from a very good, like a very well touted first overall pick. Not everyone can be McDavid or Crosby or Ovechkin.
Exactly. So next year, when Jack Hughes only puts up 50 points, every Red Wings fan needs to just chill.
I almost just choked on my coffee, thank you. I just wanted to give respect to that line, and also I'm annoyed because now everyone knows about Rantanen, and I no longer seem like really cool and hip. The Coyotes start off with like 4 goals in their first 100 games or something stupid like that, and they have 15 goals in their last like half a game or something dumb like that.
And laid an absolute beating on Tampa Bay last night.
As predicted.
As predicted.
Like the Coyotes, I think we all agreed before the season started that the Coyotes were good enough to get up into the wild card conversation. They probably would be the most improved team in the division, and I think we were right.
Look at that.
They're a 500 team right now, but if you take out how bad their first 4 games were, man, they've been one of the best teams in hockey since in the last 6.
Credit to John Shake, honestly.
Yep.
It is good because the Coyotes, as they've been constructed and seeing the moves that they've made, it makes sense for them to be getting better. I always want them to. I like Shaka. I like him a lot because of who he picked in the draft. Although, not exactly. Like again, I'm not sounding any alarms. I'm not like this isn't an indictment onto him, but not like Zadina's been proving anything exceptional so far. I think he's like -9 or something.
And a half a point game per player. But again, with an ECHL defense of Grand Rapids right now.
Yes. Yeah, but it is nice to see that team a little bit vindicated thus far. I want to move into our third topic here. Tom Wilson he appealed his initial suspension. Gary Bettman upheld his 20-game suspension, saying essentially, you'll know me as sometimes a very big supporter of Gary Bettman. He had a great write-up on why he upheld the suspension. He essentially proved, based on previous precedent, that this suspension was actually kind of lenient considering the suspension that other players got for similar, if not lesser, acts. Right. And that it was ridiculous that Wilson was even appealing.
Rafi Torres sends his regards.
Yeah. 13 games. It was 13 playoff games. Or something like that.
Yeah, well, and he had a 20-plus game one, too.
And I was like, hell yeah, Batman. Way to go. And Tom Wilson obviously has appealed to a third-party arbitrator. At this point, it's just about money. Because he'll miss the games no matter what, as long as this takes however long, but he just wants the money back. And in Tom Wilson's defense, and I say that very hesitantly, it's the duty to yourself to be appealing this. As long as those options are there, you have to take it.
There's no reason to not appeal it, so I don't begrudge him or fault him for appealing it, because, hey, if the option is in front of you, you can't get more games by appealing it, so go for it. I get it. It's fine.
The NHLPA has a responsibility to as a players' union, as a workers' union, has the responsibility to defend their players and advocate for them in any scenario. And that's as much as I'll give them, because the way they've handled this to me is just, I understand, I can't say that point I just made and then still have this emotional reaction to it, but I cannot agree with the way that they've been handling this.
So, I'm going to slightly disagree with you and agree with you at the same time. So,
welcome to the podcast.
Yeah. There's been a lot of complaints coming up, and again, I think I might even mentioned this on a couple podcasts ago, that it's absurd the NHLPA is only representing Tom Wilson in this instance because, hey, isn't Oscar Sundqvist part of your union as well? Where's his protection coming from? He only just returned, so he missed 10 games of his season. And at first I was on that bandwagon of, I'm like, well, yeah, that's stupid, but then the more I think about it, what really can they do for him? They can't undo his injury, and in Tom Wilson's case, he's losing salary. So there's really nothing they can do for Sundqvist other than punish Tom Wilson, but that's not in their court. Tom Wilson, as part of their union, they have to protect his salary, so they have to...
I agree with everything so far.
Yeah. Where I get angry with how the NHLPA has handled this is when Bettman released his statement, and I was reading through it, was the absolute horseshit argument they were using that, but Oscar Sundqvist put himself in a vulnerable position, so what else was Tom Wilson going to do? Earmuffs
Maybe
if
not dummy him.
earmuffs, children, if you have children around. Fuck right off with that garbage. I will concede that Oscar Sundqvist put himself in a vulnerable position. It's still Tom Wilson's job to hit him in the shoulder, not head. It's not like Sundqvist turned at Wilson, bent over 90 degrees, so the only point of contact would be the head. He was coming in from the side. It's why it's called a blind side hit.
Didn't they say he put his head on a platter?
Yeah, I think that was actually the exact phrasing they used.
Which is disgusting, considering the guy had a gash on his face and couldn't play for 10 games.
So because he bent over a little bit as he was taking the shot, it means Tom Wilson couldn't throw the hit a foot to the left. That is the dumbest argument I've ever heard in any appeal ever in the history of the NHL. It's not his fault that he hit him in the head. It's Sundqvist's fault for presenting his head. So every NHL player just needs to have a quasi-turtle shell, and if another NHL player comes around him, they have to go into the shell and completely unexpose the head. It is dumb. It is insulting to Oscar Sundqvist. Forget protecting Sundqvist. Forget protecting his rights. You're throwing him under the bus to protect Tom Wilson. Again, I understand why they're not doing anything for Sundqvist here, because they can't. I get it. But you don't use him as this scapegoat to get the other guy off. That's insulting, that's stupid, and it's disrespectful. I hope the independent arbitrator gives the NHLPA a suspension out of this.
I'm not gonna lie to you. The way the NHLPA is run, again. If you work in a union, you're probably calling us idiots, and for a good point. But because this is just like the brutal reality of being a players' union. But, in the context of this sport, Tom Wilson has made the same malicious, intentional, disgusting, harmful mistake several times now. Because he's not even working on a precedent of suspension from other players. He now has his own laundry list of suspension that they use as precedent. He has made this mistake so many times now. At some point, his punishment or the conversations that happen with him shouldn't be coming from the Department of Player Safety. It should be someone from the Players Association calling and saying, "Hey, you keep taking out other people in the association. We can't have a reasonable case to defend you." Not point me to more than a one-off of Tom Wilson's hits that weren't malicious, a target to the head, and a completely avoidable hockey play. The most merit the guy has is that he was paid $5.5 million. That's the most credit I can give him, and that wasn't even his decision. It was someone else's dumb choice. It's just it is a disgusting. It's just a gross situation. As a hockey fan and as a, commentate. I'll call ourselves commentators. How are you supposed to look at this and say, "Oh, it's just business"? It's like this is how the culture of headhunting and hurting your stars happens. Not through fights. No, well, I mean, fights too maybe. But not through fights. Not through any other weird, minutia in the rules. It's through the culture of trying to reduce the suspensions that are supposed to prevent this kind of thing. 20 games was right. 20 games was right. 27 games was right for, the guy who hit his wife.
Oh, Austin Watson.
Austin Watson. The arbitrary reduction in the fighting for it, it's going to do long-term damage to the game.
Yep.
If that's Connor McDavid, does the PA fight this hard? Or do they think they can get away with it because not a lot of people know about Oscar Sundqvist?
No, like I said, I think this is just... I don't mind the appeals, because it's a pure monetary thing. They can't do anything for Sundqvist. They're trying to protect Wilson's salary, and they don't want to set lengthy suspensions as a precedence for when the next member of their union gets into this kind of trouble. I don't have a problem with that. I fully understand it. Because the worst thing that can... because the best thing that can happen is the arbitrator goes, "No, we're holding it up," and everybody's like, "Okay, cool," and they move on with their lives. If the option is there to appeal. Tom Wilson has literally no good reason to not appeal, other than optics, but he's... The optics on Tom Wilson are so bad right now. Does anybody care about the optics with him? No.
I'll take $1.5 million over optics.
Right? So, of course he's going to appeal. like I said, my only problem with this scenario of how it's been handled after the fact is that they were trying to throw Sunfist under the bus.
But that's how they operate. It's
time and
disgusting.
It's absolutely disgusting.
Well, anything else that we want to head into before we go to overtime?
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about prospects a bit because I think we need to start doing our prospect spotlights a little earlier this year.
Oh yeah, Brad, you're supposed to talk about prospects.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So I've been doing a lot of research on prospects, so I'm just going to give you guys some preliminary findings of my own volition. So you know how every year the draft has what we'll call tiers? So you have this guy and then, right? So to me, there's a couple tiers emerging. So tier number 1 consists of one player. It's Jack Hughes. He is the best player in this draft by a lot, and the more and more I watch him, oh my god, he is so good. We'll do a full prospect spotlight on him one episode, but it's staggering how good he is.
One episode?
We'll talk about him a lot, but we'll actually do a deep dive into what makes him great.
Okay.
Tier 2, from what I've been gathering, also consists of only one player at this point, which was not what I was hoping to find, because I was hoping to have that second tier as 3 players so that when Detroit finished dead last, they at least get one, but that second tier to me right now begins and ends with Capo Caco. He is real good. Real good. He's closer, I would say right now Caco is closer to Jack Hughes than the tier behind him is to Caco.
Caco compared to Svechnikov in his most recent draft. Where would Capo Caco go?
I would say he's about even with Svechnikov right now. That would just, I think it would be team preference, flip a coin who would go second. Then the third tier consists of 3 players to me: Dylan Cousins, Kirby Dach, and Vasily Podkolzin. I think I put Podkolzin at the top of that grouping right now. So, and again, statistically speaking, based on mathematical odds from where Detroit's likely to finish, one of these 3 guys is the statistical most likely, because the Detroit Red Wings most likely pick is 4th if they finish dead last. That's the reality. Mm-hmm. You only have like a 23% chance to pick first if you're dead last. So we need to finish dead last because we need max odds to get top 2. If they get top 2, they get like a franchise-changing player. Like, a lot of people are saying Caco is very comparable to Patrick Laine. In terms of production, I see it. In terms of playstyle, I don't. I see Caco as more of a, I don't know how to phrase it, a Pasternak. Very, very similar player to what Zadina was going into his draft, but I think Caco's ceiling is higher. Like, they just, that kind of offense from everywhere, unbelievable with the puck, good protection. Not the fastest player on the planet, but, like, good enough speed. So, yeah. I was hoping to come out with, let's just hope it's Hughes, and then, like, the next 4 guys, and it doesn't matter who we get, but that's not the conclusion I've been coming to. So, we have to rely on the lottery. That being said, Dach, Cousins, and Podkolzin are all great. Podkolzin's, like, torching the Russian Junior League right now.
And that's not even mentioning players like Bo and Byram and everyone else. And, like, it's a pretty...
I don't even have Byram as the best defenseman in this draft on my board.
Who's yours?
Philip Broberg, the Swede.
Broberg, yeah. That's fair.
I'm big on Broberg. I don't know if I have either of them in the top, like, 7 or 8 right now, though, honestly.
And,
so where Detroit's going to finish, they might not even be relevant to the conversation, if we're being completely honest here.
Absolutely. We're going to head into overtime, where we're going to start with Patreon. All of our Patreon patrons get their comments read out on air, guaranteed, as our way of saying thanks for supporting the show. Patreon.com/WingedWheel if you want to find out about supporting the show in different ways. I know we didn't do overtime our last episode, our interview with Ricard Grönberg. That's because when we have a chance at an interview with Ricard Grönberg, we just have to make it work however we can. We had to record it early. There's a big time difference from here to Sweden. It's 6 hours, so we didn't really have a chance to finagle overtime. But that's the price we pay for getting those interviews, but we love being able to put out that content for you. So apologies to all of our patrons for that, but I hope you guys understand. I hope you like that episode. Keep an eye on Ricard. Anyways, we're going to start off reading these comments with Blake Medler. He says, "Hey guys, so yesterday my wife and 10-year-old daughter convinced me that it would be a good idea to watch the new Netflix series, The Haunting of Hill House."
I've already done that season.
My friend told me to watch it. Worth it?
Oh yeah. It's so good.
I'm 4 episodes in and trying to figure out how my daughter is holding it together better than I am. Seriously, Ferk everything about this show. What's your favorite scary movie / show besides watching the Red Wings play? I'm a big fan of the first Insidious movie. I thought that was an exceptionally scary movie until the final act where it got a little bit ridiculous. But I love Insidious. How about you guys?
What, best horror movie?
Yeah.
Or show?
Yeah.
The original Exorcist. That is the creepiest
I
movie
won't watch that.
ever.
It's too much for me. It's too much.
I really like The Shining.
I watched that yesterday.
Yeah. The Niebler says, she packed my bags last night pre-flight, 0 hour, 9 a.m. And I'm going to be high as a kite by then. And I think it's going to be a long time till touchdown brings me around again to find I'm not the man they think I am at home. Oh, no, I am a rocket man.
This is a poem about Kim Jong-un.
Rocket Man burning out his fuse up here alone. I hope you all sang in unison. No, I actually stupidly didn't recognize what I was reading for the first little bit. So the Red Wings are bad, so let's discuss my relationship. I broke up with my girlfriend last week, but things are awkward because we own a house together. Oh, man.
Whoop!
Whoa.
Tough to avoid each other. Yes, certainly is. My girlfriend wrote me letters and has been begging me to take her back and give her a second chance. I know I don't want to marry this woman because she's... I'm going to read that part.
I don't know what it says, but I've got a guess.
He asks about, does he continue to... you know what, Niebler? If you guys want to know about that comment, head over to Patreon. And know that we're here to answer, bring you advice in any way, but please don't accept our advice as gospel on this one. But what I say is, if you're sure you don't want to marry the woman, A, you got to break off every kind of connection, physical included, for her sake and your own. And B, find a way out of that house for one of you. You got to sort that out ASAP. And if it needs to be a legal solution, owning a home is no small thing. You got to sort that out quick.
If you guys split all the costs and everything, the simple solution here would be just sell the house and split the money, but I don't know because things aren't always paid for equally, so I'll leave that up to you guys.
Yikes! As fun as what's happening is for you, you gotta forego that physical pleasure in favor of the decent thing to do and the pragmatic thing to do. We want to continue to see your comments on here. We don't want anything bad to happen to you. Clayton Van Dyken says, howdy boys, I didn't get a chance to watch the Wings last game. I was at a friend's birthday party at One Well Brewery in Kalamazoo. You guys can send a check to wingwheelpodcast@gmail.com. So I don't think I have any Wings related questions for you this time. I do want to ask, who else is enjoying the hell out of Red Dead? I can't, because Amazon didn't stock enough. I pre-ordered it 16 months ago.
I'm waiting till Black Friday.
16 months ago! Anyways, I said hello to a random bystander standing behind his horse, and he responded, hey ya, to which his horse was spontaneously set off and kicked him straight in the frickin' head, killing him. Not my proudest loot, but he wasn't using anything anymore, and that horse clearly was out of control and needed sold. Now on a totally different note, Ryan, to help you out a bit, since you guys didn't understand my reference last week, My Brother, and Me is a comedy advice podcast starring three nerdy brothers from West Virginia. West Virginia! No one? Alright. Highly recommended for people with a silly and geeky sense of humor. Yeah, I don't know who that would be. Actually, do you guys listen to any podcasts non-hockey related, and if so, which ones? Big fan of 99% Invisible. Big fan of that. And the comedian, Bill Burr.
Yeah.
I think that's all I got for you guys tonight. I'm writing this somewhat intoxicated because I have a Sunday frickin' off for once, so you're welcome. I hope this all makes sense. I heart my dad's Clayman. Oh, Ferk, if anyone wants to add my PSN, my username is the same as my Twitter, ClaymanV. Well, we just read that out to thousands of listeners, so enjoy that. Yeehaw. Y'all ever have an old-fashioned cocktail? Want to try one next? Okay, bye. Oh, man. That was a stream of consciousness. Thank you, Clay. Kaylin Wood says, I'm actually back in Michigan for a wedding, and I can't tell you how nice it is walking to bars and seeing the shitty Lavats or Bud neon signs with the winged wheel all over it. Guys and gals with jackets and sweaters with the best logo in sports front and center. I love living in Austin and rooting for the Wings, but it's something else being in true Wings territory. I feel the same when I go home to Windsor. It's nice not being surprised by Wings here. Anyway, I think I'm pretty much over being sad over losses at this point and focusing on play, which is a relief, honestly. This is the first time since I was born that this is true, and wondering how you guys truly feel about the tank. Stats aside, Jack Hughes lottery aside, like, how does it make you feel as a fan of such a cool and distinguished franchise? I know this is sort of sappy, but let the tears flow. We're all family here. Don't sugarcoat. Glad to have you fellas in my ears for the flight back. Also, when it comes to Buffalo Wings, drums or wing? Love, Kaylin.
Wings, better quality meat.
Wings, yeah. I like the experience of eating them more.
I like both.
Yeah.
I really can't decide.
I think Mel's a drums person. She looked at me crazy.
That's a good relationship there. Crystal's also a drum person, so we just split all the wings evenly, and everybody's happy.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought this up because, okay, let's remove our stats nerds, our future like team building, like armchair GM nerd chip aside. Let's move Jack Hughes aside. Let's move all of that aside.
Jack Hughes aside.
The emotional toll this takes, and I'm being serious here, the emotional toll it takes to see for the first time in my life this team be bad, I'm not going to say I'm devastated over it, but I'll because I'm mostly fine. When losses happen, I would just kind of shrug my shoulders. It's to be expected. But I truly feel the emotional effects when the Red Wings have an amazing game, when Larkin goes off, when Cholowski does incredible, when Zadina comes to the Detroit, like when Zadina gets drafted. When those things happen, I feel like a sense of euphoria and joy and pride in the team that I root for that I realized I was so used to feeling on a consistent basis, and you only remember what you had when it comes up again for the first time in a long time. And that kind of is what demonstrates for me how hard and how different it is watching this team be unsuccessful. I like to think the pragmatic, logical, objective side of me holds true, and that's why I can just shrug my shoulders at losses. But I do miss feeling excited and happy all the time.
I feel like I needed this as a fan, as dumb as that sounds.
Oh, I agree.
We were so good, like, because before they missed the playoffs last year, or the year before, sorry. The last time they had missed the playoffs, I was 3 years old. I did not know what it meant to cheer for a bad NHL team. Like, I'm a Bills fan, so I know what misery and sadness was. But I just felt spoiled. And then, because, like, hockey's my favorite sport by a lot, so I'm so invested in it. Again, like, anybody who's watching this on YouTube, you can see the mountain of Red Wings crap around us. Steve even said on the episode we had him on, he's like, losing makes you a better fan because we're going to find out over the next few years who the true fans are. Are you still watching? Are you still paying attention? Are you still cheering when they score? We're going to know who the fans are now, right? Because if you're like, I'm out, and then we don't see you again until the Red Wings make the playoffs again, screw you, you don't deserve that happiness. But the thing is, too, even if they do come back in the bandwagon, they won't be as happy as we will be. They won't be as high as we will be because to truly know what it means, and this is the one thing that I actually kind of hate about being a Red Wings fan is I've been alive and I have watched them win 4 Stanley Cups. I did not truly appreciate any of them as much as I should because I never had the low to go with it. The next Stanley Cup the Red Wings win is going to be my favorite. Whether that's 2 years from now, whether that's 30 years from now, I'm a decrepit old man. That's going to be my favorite cup because I will now truly appreciate what it means to win that.
Yeah, I agree. That's the most I've ever agreed with you in my life.
Yeah.
I'm gonna backpedal on one thing in that if you can't watch this team be this bad, I actually don't blame you. But I agree with your point in that this will feel sweeter for the people who stuck it out.
Yeah. And again, you as a fan, I won't agree with that because there's still reasons to watch. I am willing to watch every Red Wings game the rest of this season, if for no other reason than Dennis Cholowski's progression is worth watching. I can find those subplots within the game because objectively the Red Wings are the worst team in the NHL to watch right now. They're boring, they're bad, they're conservative. It's awful. But there are bright spots, like when Hronek gets into the lineup. I want to see that. I want to watch Cholowski every night. I want to see how Rasmussen's projecting. Like I want to see that stuff. It's not that. And again, like for me, the Red Wings might be the worst team in the league, but outside of Connor McDavid, Andreas Athanasiou might be the most exciting player to watch.
We're gonna move on because that leads well into Evan Beckner's point, which is, hey guys, is Athanasiou pretty good or what? Anyways, I was discussing Rasmussen with some other people on the subreddit, and it got me thinking, why can't the Wings loan him to a European team? He can't go to the AHL, but he could play against men in comparable leagues overseas. Soccer does stuff like this all the time. I was wondering if there might be a rule against it because it has never happened to my knowledge. Just seems like a win-win-win for the Wings, Ras, and the European team.
CHL agreement prevents that.
Yeah. Also on the subject of Rasmussen, if kids can apply for exceptional status to enter the CHL early, why can't they apply for exceptional status to leave early? Well, I think Rasmussen has done well as the roster around him will allow. Pretty sure being in the AHL with Zadina will be the best for his development. the CHL won't agree to it.
And because you start getting paid once you go to the pros, and there's not a player on the planet who wouldn't apply because they're like, I want to get played.
Yeah.
I want to get paid. So
I get to play against.
But here there is a workaround with it, and we're probably going to see it next year. So if you do get granted exceptional status into the CHL, it's not an age thing. If you serve 4 years in the CHL, you're allowed to leave, even if you're under the age threshold. So after the season, Joe Valeno can go to Grand Rapids despite only being 19. No other 19-year-old in the CHL will be able to do that because Valeno was an exceptional player, and this is his 4th CHL year.
Yeah.
So there is a way around that. You just have to get the original CHL exceptional status first.
Just adding to the value of that pick for the Wings.
Oh, he's so 18 points in 13 games, 9 goals, 9 assists. Remember, and the most impressive thing to me is Valeno was billed as a pure playmaker. He's got as many goals as he has assists. This is fantastic.
Yeah, those are Michael Rasmussen numbers.
Oh God.
Anyways, thanks as usual for the top tier content, and your interview with the next Wings coach was great. Thanks, Evan.
God, I hope so.
Dan Bell says, "Hey gents, hope all is well. Last show was awful and needs to be canned. That's all. Cheers." Jeffrey Carlton says, "Hello from Cabo, guys." Humble brag. All right, well, understandable flex, but okay. All this eating and drinking sure makes Splash Hill easier to take. The guys have pretty much stopped playing for him, right? It seems like they're just trying to force the Illich's hand. Fire the man before he ruins the kids. Well, I guess he's not affecting Cholowski. Cheers.
He is not affecting Cholowski yet, and that's a very real concern of mine.
I don't think they're trying to force the Illich's hand, but, you know, losing Zetterberg really changed this team.
Yeah, and the team, I don't say they're giving up on Blashill and they're not playing for him. I legitimately think Blashill's systems are just this bad. It's a testament to how bad Blashill's was as a coach and a coaching staff. Like, there's only so many things a coach has true control on, but one of them is special teams. As soon as the reins got handed over to Disco Dan on the power play, the Red Wings now have one of the best power plays in the league. You can't tell me that's a coincidence.
Yeah, Dan Bilesma has earned that. I tweeted this. He has to know. Like, the team is different when they're on the power play. He has to know that he's the next head coach.
And it's funny to think too. The Red Wings zone entries on the power play are so bad. It makes the power play more impressive because they get, relative to every other team in the league, even less zone time, and yet they're still like 10th or 11th in the league on the power play. Mm-hmm. They sit there for a minute just trying to get into the zone, and then when they get there, they score in like 20 seconds. It's so impressive.
Chris Cannell says, "Hey boys, hope you're all doing great. After Brad mentioned this so many times throughout the summer, I've really been paying attention to it more and more every game, and that's defensemen getting their point shots through, and Brad is right." Well, we were both saying that last episode.
Last episode, yes, I've been saying it for a while, Brad. Don't take this from me. Someone's leaving me right finally.
Well, I think maybe he's just mixing up our voices. All of our defensemen are so bad at this, aside from our Lord and Savior Dennis Cholowski and Mike Green. Also, how long do you see this terrible streak going and Blashill still being the coach? I mean, come on, we've lost 9 of our first 10 games of the season. Have a good one, boys. I will say this, I think having Mike Green back will change games a lot. I think he'll reduce the amount of abhorrent defensive play that we have. Sorry, not defensive play, abhorrent
Playmaking
by defensemen.
Yes. I will disagree with you because there's 2 defensemen who are capable in this category on the Red Wings, and they're playing together. So for the 66% of the game they're not on the ice, it's still going to be the same garbage.
I see him maybe making a difference in terms of like 1 or 2 wins over the course of a 15-game span. But that's still better than the current streak.
Are you kidding? He's good for 1 to 2 extra wins over the course of a season. Elite players barely get 1 to 2 to 3 wins in a 15-game segment.
I'm talking relative to how bad this team, considering the fact that we knew they were going to be bad, they're still underperforming. And I'm expecting them to come back to the mean at some point. I hope, please.
I still think that's coaching that's kind of holding them back, because I think with proper systems, this team could be like as good as 25th.
Southern Wing 97. Oh, we're going to go over to our Reddit thread. A few questions. Southern Wing 97 says, "Hi from Tasmania. I know people are on. Oh, hey man. I know people are on about how Blashill's a terrible coach, but I think maybe I've uncovered a huge conspiracy, and he is but a hapless cog in the tank machine. 1. Our GM is Ken Holland. Now, if you pronounce his name in the accent of the country he has as a surname, you emphasize the first value, giving Holland. This gives you 2, K-hole, and 3, K-hole is a term used to describe a state of mind influenced by the drug ketamine, which is used as a horse tranquilizer. 4. In the Carolina game, the team were all clearly under the influence of heavy sedatives. So Blashill is obviously under instructions to spike the Gatorade, thus assisting the tank get off his back. That's the greatest comment we have ever received on a Reddit thread. Holy, is this tank? Thank you, all the way from Tasmania. Also, whenever I hear Evan's voice, I can only imagine the character Big Head from Silicon Valley. Spooky but true. You are Big Head. He's a short little dweeb with a big head, who well, he has a lot of stuff happens to him in the show, but he is essentially like the worst coder of the group, and then gets bumped out, but then accidentally is like extremely valuable to another company. Anyways, you're Big Head. Thanks for a great pod. Twice a week is great. Thank you. B. Clem says Evan is for sure Big Head. Zadine Apocalypse says, hey guys, lifelong Wings fan from Alaska. Hey, whoa, a lot of from far and wide here. I've recently started listening to podcasts, and yours is definitely my favorite. Be still my beating heart. My question for you is, if the Wings manage to trade Jimmy Howard at the trade deadline, what kind of return would you expect? Also, what do you see Detroit's goaltending situation looking like next season? Thanks.
So I'm going to answer the first part of the question with this by answering the second part. What do I see Detroit's goaltending tandem looking like next year? I think it looks like Jimmy Howard and Jonathan Burnett.
I agree, but if we're doing a hypothetical, if we traded him, I expect the return to be fourth at best.
I was going to say a third or a fourth is probably right, because that's what Mrazek got, and statistically they're not that different.
Yeah. Graffinino says, I posted this somewhere else recently, so forgive me if I'm asking the same crowd, but I'm curious if you guys know what Zetterberg is around, if Zetterberg is around the team at all nowadays. I don't know what his stand in practice with someone on LTIR who's essentially retired. Obviously the team sorely misses his leadership on the ice, but it makes me wonder if he was mentoring them off the ice. Thanks, keep up the great work. In effect, Zetterberg has retired. He's not going on trips with the team. He might be around sometimes, but really the guy is at the phase where he's sorting out what his life is like in retirement. He's probably working out logistics if he's going to move back home to Sweden, if he's going to take a role with the team. He's probably just enjoying being able to relax for the first time in 20 years.
I want him as an assistant coach.
He's not around the team a lot, if at all, right now. That might change, because from everything that he's mentioned, I'm actually inclined to believe that he's going to join the team sooner rather than later.
If we had Gronberg and Zetterberg as our coaches, we'd have the best beard combo in the league.
Brian Eiserman and Lidstrom in management.
Deeply regretted not asking Gronberg if he got the Wings job. Would you bring Lidstrom and Zetterberg with you, please?
I don't think he would have answered it.
No, he of course wouldn't have answered it on air.
He says, thanks, keep up the great work. Thank you, Graffinino. Jacques Strapp says, if Applicator was from, let's say, Ontario, would he have a letter? No. I say no.
Probably not.
No.
My God, I noticed him twice in the last game, because I'm legitimately trying to give Applicator the benefit of the doubt, and I'm hoping this is just a cold streak. The only two things I remember him doing in the game was blowing coverage on Bufflin to lead to the winning goal, and throwing a really nice hit that landed square on Dennis Cholowski. Like, did everybody's seen that play, right? Along the boards on the near side from the camera angle in Detroit's end. He stepped up to try and hit the Jets player, just missed, and ran into Cholowski. Like,
yep.
He's becoming a parody of even what I think he is.
Yep. Who's more deserving of the A and helping firing up the squad while we have a captain vacancy?
There isn't a lot of good candidates.
I would say Cholowski, just by virtue of, I don't know, Cholowski.
Right now, I think Larkin has an A. If we take an A away from Applicator, I'm honestly okay Nielsen keeping his. Cronwell obviously gets his. I don't know who else would be a good candidate for a letter here. Glendening? Oh my God, this team's bad.
Band of Gypsies says, no real question, but perhaps a favor. I'm going to the Sunday/today game, and simply would like to ask for your thoughts and prayers that I make it out with all my brain cells. In exchange, I submit to you that my Michigan per 60 is off the charts this weekend. Also, as odd as it may sound, this season has been one of the most enjoyable for me in 25 to 30 years. I've followed Wings hockey. Obviously, it sucks to be such a horrific train wreck, but it's lowered expectations and the anxiety of a W every night, and tested my fandom to stick with the team and dig deep to see where the future takes us. I've never been this interested in prospects in our farm system. That's a true fan right there.
Yep.
If you want to know how to be a fan during a tough time, Band of Gypsies is the right take. Also, Steve Eiserman, Curly Fries, and did I mention Steve Eiserman? That's all. Go Wings.
To make it through the game, copious amounts of alcohol.
Great overtime comments today. I'm really liking this, guys.
Yeah.
Our friend from Tasmania, I can't get over that. The ketamine comment. The fact that I just said the ketamine comment.
I'm talking about our good buddy K-Hole.
Dark Hawk 007 says Mantha has looked more and more disinterested each game. He clearly has an attitude or mental issue that's not easily solvable. I'd honestly like to see him gone if he can't get his stuff together. It's not something you want in your locker room. Does he have any trade value this year if he continues to put out this kind of effort for most of the season?
Oh, Mantha has trade value.
But you do not trade Mantha at his current level of play. I disagree in that we should trade him, but trading him right now would be a terrible use of him as an asset.
Yeah.
If you're set on trading him, you have to wait for one of his rebounds, which I hope he will.
Which the catch-22 is if Mantha rebounds, you don't want to get rid of him. So
which is my point.
Let's just ride it out.
Mulvda says, well, since we don't seem to be interested in improving our record, what do you think the next 10 games looks like? My guess is 2-5-3. I'll give us a 3-6-1.
Yeah, one win in 10 games is like, that's an 8-win season. That's the worst season in NHL history. Literally was 8 wins. So, yeah, I'll say there'll be improvement. This feels like a trap game for Dallas. I wouldn't even be surprised if Detroit pulls it off today. I'm going to go, what did you say?
3-6-1.
Yeah, that's probably right. Maybe like a 4-6 straight up if that overtime goes well.
Yarvik7 says, if you were GM, what 3 players would be trying to move real hard at the trade deadline? Mine would be Nyquist, Howard, and Daly.
Mine would be none of them, but the guys I would want to move, you can't move their contracts. So.
Oh, I would move Nyquist in a heartbeat.
Yeah, no, but I would be trying to get rid of Helm, Abdelkader, and the Kaiser's contracts had I had. But none of them are movable. So Helm had some interest last year, so I'll throw Helm in as one of my 3. And he hasn't been playing terrible this year, so he might actually have some value.
You think maybe that's why they're playing him on the top line?
Maybe. No.
Vanek?
Not that
we gotta move Vanek. That's the whole
He's
point.
got a no move, so it's irrelevant.
And he has a 1-year contract.
And Nyquist also has a no move, so it might be relevant.
Again, he has to know, right?
If I'm Detroit, my first thing is I go to Gus. Hey, what are you making right now? 4x4.5. Can we do that again? No. Okay. So can you waive your no trade clause then?
Who would want to stay around in Detroit at this current moment?
But you need some veterans around.
Nyquist has a Jimmy Howard level of exhaustion in his eyes every game.
Yeah. Realistically, who are the 3 Red Wings that are going to be moved at the deadline, if anybody?
Nyquist,
Jensen,
Does Mike Green have no move too?
Yes.
God.
It does.
Fucking damn it.
He doesn't next year though. So
well,
you can move him next year.
That'd be really
but those
next
two
year.
and yeah, honestly, if Vanek's willing to waive, I'd send him because he's been bad.
Cross Crease Pass says, you guys may go over this in the main part of the podcast, but what did you think about Jim Devillano's comments on going outside the box and what that may mean for the rebuild?
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Thank you.
That horrifies me.
That was an interesting article.
Was it Devillano? I thought it was Holland that said that.
No, Devillano said that.
Oh, that's much more concerning.
So, here's the thing. That was the most honest interview I've seen from Red Wings management. They owned the rebuild. They owned the tank. They owned how bad this team is, which is all good.
You're 1-7-2. You can't deny it at this point.
And then Devillano recognized. He said this. He said, "We know that this is hard for fans, and we're not used to losing. We're not good at handling this. We need to sell seats. We need fans to be I don't disagree with anything he said. We need to sell seats. We need fans to be interested. We still need this to be exciting hockey, even while we're rebuilding." And then he got to the concerning part. He says, we're going to go outside the box to make something happen here. To me, that screams...
Free seats? Free cars?
Well, they are going to throw way too much money at mediocre players in the offseason.
Trade for overpay for a superstar. Trade.
Which I'm okay with overpaying if it's a true superstar. I can see them throwing like a 5x5 at someone like Alex fucking Edler.
Yeah.
Panarin,
great. I'm good. Carlson, great. If they want Duchesne, if they want to throw money at one of those guys, I'm all in. You can't... It is impossible to get players like that. I'm fine with it, but I don't think it's that quality of player.
He kept saying going outside the box, and I'm afraid they're going to pay too much for an RFA. I'm afraid they're going to pay too much for... I'm afraid they're going to do, like, max or second to max. Oh, I should
Do you know who the RFAs next year are? Oh my god, yes!
Okay, I should say this. We made a mistake on last episode. We forgot about a rule for RFA compensation, which
you have to have your own picks to do it.
No. We forgot about a rule for RFA compensation, and I actually thought that rule went away. It's when you average the value of the contract, it's not the true cap hit. It's the number of years on the contract that you offer them, or 5, whichever is lower. So if you offer them an 8-year deal for $50 million, you're truly you have to give up compensation as if you paid them for $10 million. Which drives the price of RFA contracts up, which explains why teams aren't jumping at signing Nylander so readily, because they have to essentially, give up 4 first-round picks for the most. Like, you're going to be doing that no matter what.
But Holland's the old boys club.
Well,
he's not throwing in.
Devellano said they're going out. What he said, going outside the box. What is because they've traded for stars.
Teams
before.
in rebuilds don't go out and sign big free agents. I think that's what he means. I think he means that they are not going to rush prospects up like teams do in rebuilds, which they've been showing. I don't think it's going to be anything too dramatic. I wouldn't even be surprised if they traded some futures for like a really good player if it came available. I don't see any team in the right mind doing that though. I think they're going to throw a ton of money at a Panarin, a Duchesne, a Carlson, whoever in the offseason. And honestly, if that's what he means, great. If it's an offer sheet bomb, if it's for Austin Matthews, great. If it's for anybody else, no. But Matthews isn't leaving Toronto. I think they've already got a hand. Freeman was saying they think Toronto's already got like a handshake deal in place with Matthews for his next contract. They're just waiting for Nylander to get done to sign Matthews. I don't know.
This management group is moving forward under the notion that Ken Holland will be general manager for the next while, and like that's the way you should operate if you're the general manager. I just can't help but think I want Yzerman in as soon as possible. Like
there was a picture of Yzerman and Draper together
in Muskegon, Michigan. Yeah.
Don't do this to me.
Jake Nagy 19 says, Ryan, I'm disappointed you didn't ask Ricard Grunberg whether or not he thinks Stevie's coming back. Don't think I didn't off the air. Yarvik 7 says, or whether he'll take the Red Wings coaching job if offered it. Don't think I didn't off the air. When you have an interview with...
We asked him several off-the-record questions, which we, out of respect for him, will not repeat.
Obviously, because they're off the record.
Yeah.
But when you have an interview with someone who... Like, he has a future in the NHL, and he can't participate in the same commentary that we do, and so...
Yeah, and even off the record, he was very...
Oh, it was so professional. He kept...
He was, he was...
Ando772 said, surely Blashill calling out or... our contributing young players is an absolute joke on his part. Calls out the young guys for dumb things, but when a vet does it, it's not a peep. Has he well and truly lost his marbles? Out with Blash. Also, what kind of BS tactic is it to not shoot the damn puck? That's my rant for this week. Cheers, boys. Ando. I know, man. I can just see the frustration.
I have no doubt that Blashill has like an unfair bias to youngsters, and I get that like you have to earn your place in the NHL. But again, Abdelkader has been an absolute unmitigated disaster this year. The fact that he hasn't been healthy scratch proves to me that Blashill has no interest in keeping his veterans honest. Because Abdelkader, again, in Winnipeg, it was his direct misread of a pass that led to the winning goal. He hit his own player. He's literally hurting the team when he's on the ice. Not only is he not contributing anything positively, he's actually creating negative plays. It's at a staggering rate.
And on that note of optimism, we're going to wrap up this week's episode of the Winged Wheel Podcast. We'd like to thank everyone. If you want to know ways to support the show, go to Twitter, @WingedWheelPod. Hit that follow button. You want to really take it the extra mile and find a way to engage with us, because we do engage a lot with our listeners and people on Twitter. Our main accounts are in the bio for our the podcast account. Follow us. That's amazing. All of our Patreon patrons, thank you so much. You guys are what make this show happen. You're what's allowing us to try out this 2 episodes per week thing.
Speaking of which, still looking for feedback. How you guys liking that?
Name level sponsors: Andrew Hassenfratz, Sean Levine, Stan Olson, Ryan Lewis, Arjun Schenker, Clayton Van Dyken, Langabir, Derek Shippert, Kaylin Wood, Charlie Elkins, Dan Bell, and Han Lee. Thank you guys so much. If you guys, however you get your podcast, subscribe. If it's on iTunes, hit subscribe. If it's on Spotify, hashtag do the thing on Spotify for the Wind Wheel Pod. I think it's a heart or a follow or something. If you want to leave ratings on iTunes, do a ton for us. If you just by being a subscriber, however you get the podcast, that's huge. We'll be back this Wednesday. Brad's kid has woken up, and so I think that's our cue to wrap this one up. So enjoy the game against Dallas.